Welcome everyone. My name is George Rothman. I'm the music director and conductor of the Riverside Symphony, and I'm very pleased to introduce our featured soloist in our upcoming program, Chen. He will be performing Mozart's Ninth Piano Concerto with us. Before we actually go into the piece a little bit, I just want to let Han tell us a little bit about his life and career so far.
Hi everyone, this is Chen. I'm a pianist based in New York, and I'm very excited to be playing this Mozart concerto with George and the Riverside Symphony Orchestra. I graduated from the Juilliard School, and I have recorded 3 albums with the Naxos label, music by Franz Liszt, Anton Rubinstein, and Thomas Adès. I'm especially excited to make my Lincoln Center debut next week, playing this Mozart concerto, and hope you will come to the concert.
Great, thank you. Speaking about this concert, it is at 7:30 on December 8th at Alice Tully Hall. So the Mozart Concerto is not only an early piece, but it's a special concerto, and I think its specialness was the most important ingredient why we both sort of gravitated to this piece. And there are a lot of special expressions that permeate the piece in ways that you would only see and maybe witness in Mozart's later works. So I guess I want to ask Han, just how you feel about the piece, and if there's any special places in it that you look forward to playing or would highlight for our audience.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this Mozart concerto is a special one among all the concertos that Mozart wrote. It was the first piano concerto that Mozart was commissioned to write. So he was really excited to show off his compositional skills and his experience as a soloist. So there are many things in this piece is actually quite not quite traditional. I would say that. For example, like the pianist actually jump in on the second bar of the entire piece, which is rarely done in the classical era. And then there are also many tempo changes throughout the piece. I mean, especially in the last movement where there's a minuet inserted in this rondo final movement. So there are a lot of things that allow the pianist to shine on the stage, as well as having a conversation with the orchestra. And I think this is a very special thing for us to work on, because we have this close relationship working on this piece that we can explore these different expressions and different emotions throughout the piece. So I'm very excited to show that in the concert.
It's interesting in the very first opening bars, the orchestra starts, and then the soloist comes in, and I was like to get into Mozart's head. Did he want to make sure that the orchestra was going to be in the same tempo as the soloist? And that's always like ground zero for whenever you do a concerto, is that both entities are in agreement about the tempo. And of course, tempo is relative to the moment that you're playing and the moment that you're feeling, and what you've calculated in your preparation. But there's a special excitement that happens when you start the piece. Han, maybe would it be possible to play the first theme of the first movement in your exposition?
So when the pianists enter in the exposition, it actually enters too early to cut off the orchestra with the trill. And that officially starts.
Yeah, that's fun. Um, and then maybe it would be good to just talk about just how this theme develops throughout the exposition, but also it gets very deep. And what I love about this piece is there's so much sort of inner soul that you sense is so present in the writing, and how it's real, and how it's realized in the piano part. Maybe let's hear a little of the second theme, and do a little into the development section. That's beautiful. Thank you. So I think the audience can hear how much it's not a steady tempo all the time. And that's very deliberate. Mozart is one of the hardest composers because there's so many variables that you can put in, and it changes the interpretation quite quite a lot. So let's hear a little of the second movement, just to give a little bit of a background. So the first movement is in a major. The second movement is in minor. It's in C minor, and this has, for me, a future vision of what Mozart becomes later as a composer. It's so beyond his years, and I think you'll be able to hear it right away. So why don't we just hear just a little of the second movement? Beautiful. The third movement is extraordinary. It's a rondo, but it has many derivations. And a rondo, just in case, it's like a piece of music that keeps coming back, right? So, Han, can you just play the dum dum dum, the beginning of this, and then we'll just establish what that theme is. Yeah, so that theme keeps coming back. It goes away and then it comes back. But what's really interesting about this is, as you would expect in a concerto, there's always going to be what we call a cadenza, which is where the orchestra stops, and then the piano does its cadenza, which is flourishes and sort of what's the word? Just thoughts on the music that had just transpired, and there's a lot of sort of an improvisatory element to it. In fact, most composers expected the performers to do their own cadenzas. But what's really interesting about this is after the cadenza happens, then we come back to the main theme, and what Mozart does particularly interesting in this is he has a short cadenza, which is the second cadenza. And that leads us to something that's totally unexpected and has not been present in any piano concerto that I've heard. And that is at the end of the short little cadenza, which we'll have Han play, he lets the music evolve into a minuet. Now the difference between the beginning is dum, ba bum, da da, is in 2, but the minuet is in 3. So maybe, Han, if we can do that, the B flat 7 chord with the arpeggiation and the scale, and then go right into the minuet. Now that's the end of the brief cadenza, and now the minuet begins. And now the orchestra comes in, and we do some little colorations as Han is playing, and this develops a little bit, and all of a sudden you find yourself in a whole new world. This is not how the piece started. It's like you walk down a street, and all of a sudden it turns into another street, and you're in another land. And then what's so brilliant is this minuet sort of finds its natural conclusion, and then that leads to the third cadenza. And Han, can we maybe do the last 8 bars of the minuet and then go right into the cadenza? We don't need to do the whole cadenza, but just, you know, where a natural spot for you to stop would be. This is why this piece is so rich. One of the many reasons of why this piece is so rich, and you know, if you just listen and be part of that experience as we're playing this, you will get so much out of this, out of our performance. We certainly hope that you'll come and join us for this concert on Thursday at 7:30 at Alice Tully Hall. I want to thank Han for today and for all his great work. He's really a magnificent player and a musician, and understands this vernacular so well, and we can't wait to perform it for you.
Thank you very much. I can't wait either.